I knew I was staring by the way the other moms went quiet. It was one of those bright, washed-out mornings where the playground sand reflects the sun straight into your skull. My daughter, Lily, was halfway up the ladder to the big slide in her dinosaur leggings, arguing with a boy about whose turn it was to be the dragon. I had my usual spot on the bench near the swings, reusable coffee cup in one hand, diaper bag at my feet, trying to look like a man who had a plan. I'd just pulled my phone out to pretend I was reading the news when the gate squeaked. A guy stepped through, pushing a jogging stroller I recognized from across the street. New neighbors, I'd learned in the casual suburban way of watching moving trucks from behind sheer curtains. I'd seen flashes of him before, carrying a car seat, unloading groceries. But this was the first time I'd seen him up close, in my domain. He was maybe early 30s, maybe my age, hard to tell under the mess of sun-bleached curls gathered at the nape of his neck. Faded navy t-shirt, gray shorts, battered sneakers, tan lines at the sock line and watch band, sunglasses hooked on his collar. He moved with the easy, absent-minded rhythm of someone who spent a lot of time pushing strollers and didn't think of it as a favor. The stroller's passenger, a little boy with a spray of tight curls and a shark t-shirt, kicked his feet and announced, "Park," like he'd discovered it. "Park," the guy echoed, smiling, and my chest did a weird little hop at the way his mouth tilted up more on one side. I told myself I was reacting to the narrative symmetry, another man at the playground, a rare sight in a world of yoga pants and diaper wipes. That's all. One of the moms leaned toward me, lowering her voice like we were co-hosts of a nature documentary. "That's the nanny," she whispered. "The Ryans finally hired someone, thank God. She said he's a manny," she added, making air quotes like it offended her personally. "Manny," I repeated, trying not to roll my eyes. "Okay then." The guy scanned the playground, clocked the cluster of parents on the bench, and headed over with the stroller. "Hey," he said, giving us all a quick, open smile. "I'm Liam. This is Noah. We live across the street in the blue-gray house with the terrible yard." A couple of the moms laughed politely. I found myself straightening up, weirdly eager. "I'm Matt," I said. "My daughter's the dragon on the slide." We both glanced over as Lily let out a victorious roar, the red plastic tunnel amplifying it. "She seems powerful," he said. "That's one word for it," I replied. He grinned, and the sun caught the faint gold in his stubble. His hands, resting on the stroller handle, were tanned and nicked, a faint white scar running diagonally across the back of one. I noticed that scar more than I should have. It felt like my eyes kept returning to his hands of their own accord, the way the tendons flexed when he adjusted the stroller strap, the way he brushed sand off Noah's knees. "You're just grateful another man showed up," I told myself. "Don't make it weird." We fell into easy conversation. He'd been a nanny for years, he said, first for his sister's kids and then professionally. There was something disarming about how matter-of-fact he was about it, like there was nothing unusual about a guy knowing the brand names of car seats and which playground had the best shade. The other moms slowly drifted back to their own chats, but Liam and I stayed locked into this little bubble. We compared nap strategies, snack containers, tricks for getting toddlers into car seats without losing a finger. When he mimed his technique for the car seat scoop, he laughed so hard at my attempt to copy him that he doubled over, bracing his hands on his knees. His laugh did a thing to me. It was deep and bright at the same time, that full-body kind of laugh that makes you feel like you've done something right by causing it. I didn't have a name for that feeling, so I called it pride and left it there. By the time the kids started to melt down around the edges and it was clearly lunch o'clock, we'd already traded numbers. "Playdate sometime?" he said, bouncing a fussy Noah on his hip. The boys, child singular, could run circles around our living rooms instead of everyone else's. "Yeah," I said, too quickly. "I'm usually around. Stay at home, Dad," I added, gesturing to my coffee-stained t-shirt like it was a badge. "Respect," he said. "We'll save each other from going feral." On the walk home, Lily chattered about dragons, but my thoughts kept drifting across the street to the blue-gray house with the terrible yard and the man who lived there weekdays from 8 to 6. I told my wife about him that night while we brushed our teeth in shifts, one of us always half listening for Lily. "Another man on the playground?" Sarah said around a mouthful of foam. "It's becoming a trend." "Don't get your hopes up," I said. "He's just the nanny." "He?" She spat into the sink, eyebrows rising. "A male nanny? A manny?" "Do not start," I groaned. She laughed, rinsing her toothbrush. "I think it's cute. You'll finally have someone to talk to who knows what a sleep regression is. Maybe you'll stop monologuing about it to me at 11 p.m. I flicked water at her. She squealed and flicked back, and for a moment, it was just us, the way it used to be before toddler became our primary job title. Then her phone buzzed on the counter. She glanced at the screen and her face tightened in that way I'd come to recognize as work email I can't ignore. Sorry, she said, picking it up. Partner wants numbers before morning. I'll be in the office for a bit. I watched her disappear down the hallway, the light from her laptop spilling under the door a few minutes later, and felt that familiar mix of pride and loneliness. She was killing it at the firm. Someone had to. My salary back when I was working wouldn't have covered half our childcare. Staying home had made sense on paper. I just hadn't expected it to reshape me this much. The next week, the playground routine settled into something like habit. More often than not, Liam and I ended up there at the same time, like we'd unconsciously synced our schedules. We started bringing each other coffee without even texting about it. He drank his black. I had mine with too much cream and sugar, which he ruthlessly mocked. "You're drinking melted ice cream," he said one morning, taking a cautious sip from my cup and grimacing. "You're drinking bitterness," I shot back. "Not everything has to be a personality test." He laughed, and I felt that little spark again, low in my chest. I told myself I just liked being liked, being seen. In mom-heavy spaces, I was usually either ignored or treated like a novelty. With Liam, I was just Matt, another exhausted caregiver trying to keep a tiny human from eating sandbox gravel. Our conversations wandered. We talked about movies we missed seeing in theaters, music we used to go out and hear live. He told me stories about past nanny gigs, the weird intimacy of being in someone else's house all day. I told him about the tech job I'd left, and the way my brain still occasionally twitched toward code and deadlines before remembering my boss was now 3 feet tall and communicated mostly in shrieks. One afternoon, while the kids zoomed toy cars down the slide over and over, I noticed a faint smear of finger paint on his forearm, a pale streak of dried blue against tan skin. It traced over the same diagonal scar I'd clocked the first day. "How'd you get that?" I asked, nodding at his hand. He glanced down, flexing his fingers like he was remembering. "Broke a window when I was a teenager," he said. "Lost the key, locked myself out, tried to be action hero smart. Spoiler, glass is sharp." "Ouch," I said. "My sister still calls it my idiot brand," he added, and I laughed. The more time we spent together, the more details I collected without meaning to. The way he absent-mindedly spun the ring on his right hand when he was thinking. The way his t-shirts always fit just well enough to hint at muscle without looking like he was trying. The way his eyes crinkled when Noah did something ridiculous. The way his voice softened when he said the word buddy. I started calling it a man crush in my head, a joke that made it safe. Look at you, I'd think, watching him flip a kid effortlessly upside down with one arm. You've got a total man crush on the nanny. How very sitcom of you. A crush in my mind was harmless. A little harmless admiration. Like when Sarah came home talking about the new paralegal with the insane organizational system, and I'd tease her about her work crush. It didn't mean anything, except it started to feel like it did. I noticed when he changed his hair, when he showed up one day with the curls cut shorter, the back of his neck suddenly bare and tanned. I noticed when his t-shirt rode up a little as he reached for a toy on a high shelf, and then had to forcibly remind myself to look away. I thought about him at weird times. Not like that, mostly, just wondered what he was doing, if Noah was finally napping, if he'd laughed at the meme I'd sent or just rolled his eyes. When my phone buzzed in the middle of a diaper change and it was his name, my heart kicked in a way it didn't when anyone else texted. At night, when Sarah was at the dining table with her laptop, eyes glazed over spreadsheets, I'd lie on the couch with Lily's baby monitor on my chest and scroll through my messages with him, rereading dumb jokes and snack recommendations like they were some kind of code. "You're just lonely," I'd tell myself. "You miss adult conversation. He's the first person in a while who actually gets your day-to-day. That's all." Still, I cleared my browser history after going down a rabbit hole of, can straight guys have crushes on other guys, and is there such a thing as a man crush that is actually just a crush? The internet was not subtle. "Sounds like you might be bisexual, my dude," one article said in so many words. I locked my phone and pressed it to my forehead. "Absolutely not," I muttered into the dark, as if my sexuality were something I could bargain with. The worst part wasn't the possibility that I wasn't who I thought I was. It was Sarah. If I let myself look straight at the feeling, it wasn't just admiration. It was wanting. A quiet, persistent wanting that hummed under my skin when Liam sat too close on the bench or clapped a hand on my shoulder in thanks for a coffee. And wanting someone else, anyone else, when you're married feels like stepping onto thin ice. Wanting a man specifically when your wife trusts you completely and works herself raw so you can be home with your kid felt disloyal in an entirely new way. One rainy afternoon, the playground a mud pit, the kids bouncing off the walls, Liam texted, "If I don't get adult conversation in the next 20 minutes, I'm going feral. Coffee, our porch, or yours?" I glanced at the living room, where Lily was building a fortress out of couch cushions and narrating a battle between stuffed animals. "Ours," I typed back. "I'll make actual coffee, not dad coffee." 10 minutes later, he was on our porch, shaking rain off his jacket. I'd set up the baby monitor on the coffee table and bribed Lily with a movie. She was in her nest of pillows, eyes already glassy with cartoon colors. "You're a saint," he said, wrapping his hands around the mug I handed him. If I had to watch one more episode of Baby Builders, I was going to walk into the sea. We sat hip to hip on the couch, shoulders almost touching. The house felt strangely small with him in it, like the walls had shifted closer. "So," he said after a sip, "tell me something non-kid related. Anything. Gossip about your neighbors. Rank your top 5 cheeses. I'm desperate." I laughed, feeling my shoulders loosen. We traded small talk, then bigger talk. He told me about growing up as the oldest of 4, always the built-in babysitter. I told him about learning to cook after Lily was born, out of sheer survival. At some point, the conversation turned, gently, into deeper water. "Do you ever miss it?" he asked. "Work, I mean. The old life." "Sometimes," I admitted. "But then I think about some dude breathing down my neck about deadlines while Lily is here eating crayons with a stranger, and I don't, mostly." "Yeah," he said softly. "Kids are weirdly anchoring, aren't they?" I glanced at him. "What about you? Ever think about changing careers? Doing something more? Whatever people expect of you?" He snorted. "You mean like getting a real job? My uncle already got that assignment. He asks me when I'm going to grow out of babysitting every Thanksgiving." "And?" I asked. "And I tell him I'm helping raise actual humans and his job is spreadsheets, so maybe we don't compare," he said, a spark in his eyes. "This is the only thing I've ever done that feels like it matters." The sincerity in his voice lodged somewhere in my chest. "You're really good at it," I said before I could stop myself. He smiled, slow and warm. "Thanks," he said. "You are too, you know. I watch you with Lily. You're present in a way a lot of parents aren't." Heat crawled up my neck. I took a too big gulp of coffee and burned my tongue. "Trying," I mumbled. His hand brushed my knee as he reached for the sugar. It was the lightest touch, barely anything. I still felt it like a live wire. "Too much," my brain said. "Too close. You need to get a grip." I stood up abruptly. "Refill?" I asked, even though my mug was still half full. "Sure," he said, watching me with an expression I couldn't read. In the kitchen, I leaned against the counter and gripped the edge until my knuckles went white. "He's your friend," I told myself. "You like your friend. That doesn't mean you get to mess up your entire life." When I went back, he had Lily's favorite stuffed dragon in his lap, making it fly toward her fortress. She collapsed into giggles. "Rawr," he said, in a goofy voice that made her laugh harder. He caught my eye over her head, grinning, and for a brief, treacherous moment, I let myself imagine what it would be like if this was something else. If he lived here, if this was our kid, our couch, our life. My stomach twisted with guilt. That night, after he left, and Lily was asleep and the dishwasher hummed in the background, I sat at the kitchen table with Sarah while she scrolled through work emails, her face pinched. "How was your day?" she asked, eyes still on the screen. "Good," I said automatically. "Playground got rained out. Liam came over for coffee." "Liam?" she repeated, a small smile tugging at her mouth. "Your man Nanny." "Male Nanny," I corrected, maybe a little too sharply. She looked up at me, surprised. "Hey," she said. "I'm teasing. It's nice you have a friend." I stared at her, at the faint shadows under her eyes, the way her shoulders hunched over the laptop. A wave of love washed over me so strong it hurt. She trusted me, completely. She worked 12-hour days so I could be home with our kid and spend afternoons arguing about pant sizes and snack types with another man in the park. And I was, what? Mooning over my neighbor like a teenager? "Yeah," I said quietly. "He's a good friend." She frowned, studying my face. "You okay?" she asked. "You've been somewhere else lately." I opened my mouth. I could tell her, right then. I could say the words I'd been swallowing for weeks. I think I might like him in a way that isn't just friends. I don't know what that means yet. I don't know what to do with it. I don't want to hurt you. The words stacked up behind my teeth, hot and bright. I'm just tired, I said instead. Coward, a small voice inside me whispered. The thing about secrets is they grow. They fill up corners of your day, your brain, your marriage. The next time I saw Liam, I tried to pull back, kept my jokes surface level, sat a little farther away on the bench, answered texts slower. He noticed. You mad at me? He asked one morning as the kids swarmed the slide. What? No, I said, too fast. Why would I be mad? He shrugged, picking at the label on his coffee cup. You've been quieter. I figured maybe I stepped on your toes somehow. Guilt prickled under my skin. It's not you, I said, which sounded exactly like every breakup line in history. He gave me a look. Okay, he said slowly. Is it me adjacent? I let out a breath, the kind that feels like it takes something with it. I'm just dealing with some stuff, I said. In here. I tapped my temple. Nothing you need to worry about. His eyes softened. Ah, he said. The classic some stuff. Got it. He let it go, at least on the surface. But a few days later, when the kids were both miraculously napping at the same time, he texted, You free for a walk? I promise not to overshare about diapers. We met on the sidewalk, each with a baby monitor clipped to our pocket like high-tech pagers. The neighborhood was quiet, late morning sun slanting through trees. We walked in companionable silence for a minute. Then he said, without looking at me, You don't have to tell me anything, but I've been the guy who pulled back from a friendship because he was dealing with feelings he didn't expect, and it sucked more than talking about it. My heart tripped. What makes you think? I started, then stopped. You've been there? He smiled wryly. Matt, he said gently, I'm a male nanny who knows all the words to Baby Shark and cries at Pixar movies. I'm also, aggressively queer. Complicated feelings are kind of my thing. The word queer zinged through me like a live wire. I didn't know you were... I gestured vaguely. Gay? Bi? Insert label of the day? He said. I'm somewhere on that map. But yeah, not straight. Is that a problem? No, I said quickly. No, it's not. I just didn't know. Most people assume, he said, shrugging, or they don't ask. We walked a few more steps. My brain was buzzing. So, he said, is this the part where you tell me you can't be friends with the gay nanny because your wife will think I'm seducing you with snack schedules? The attempt at a joke landed somewhere between my ribs. My wife trusts me, I said. That's kind of the problem. He glanced at me, puzzled. You lost me. I stopped walking. He stopped too, turning to face me. My heart hammered so loud I was sure he could hear it. I started, then had to swallow and try again. I've been feeling weird around you. Not in a, you did anything wrong way. In a, my brain is throwing error messages way. He watched me carefully, all trace of teasing gone. Okay, he said. How so? I stared at my shoes. I've never thought about guys like that, I said. Like at all. I've only ever dated women. I married one. I love her. I love our life. And then you show up with your stupid laugh and your stupid hands and your t-shirts that fit, and suddenly I'm noticing things, wanting things I didn't expect. It all tumbled out in a rush. When I finally looked up, his eyes were wide. Matt, he said softly. I haven't done anything, I said quickly. I need you to know that. I haven't crossed any lines. I'm not planning to. I just needed to say it out loud before it eats me alive. He ran a hand through his hair, exhaling. First off, he said, thank you for trusting me with that. Seriously, that's not small. I let out a shaky breath. Second, he went on, you're not broken or betraying anyone by having feelings. You can't control who your brain decides to ping with attraction. You can only control what you do with it. That's the part I gestured helplessly, really afraid of screwing up. Yeah, he said. That tracks. He looked up at the sky for a moment, thinking. I've been on your wife's side of this, he said finally. Well, kind of. I dated a guy once who realized he was into women after we'd been together a year. He didn't cheat, he just panicked silently until he exploded. It wasn't pretty. What happened? I asked. We broke up, he said. Not because he was bi, because he didn't trust me enough to talk to me before it became a crisis. That hurt more than anything else. His words landed like a stone in my gut. You think I should tell Sarah, I said. I think, he said carefully, that if this is big enough to be gnawing at you like this, she deserves to know what's going on in your head. You don't have to give her a manifesto, just honesty, before your guilt does something stupid in self-defense. Fear fluttered in my chest. What if it breaks us? I whispered. What if it doesn't? He countered gently. What if it makes your relationship more honest? You said she trusts you. Maybe trust goes both ways. I stared at him, at the open concern on his face. Not hunger, not flirtation, just care. For the record, he added, I'm flattered that you feel something, but I also have zero interest in being the reason your marriage implodes. So whatever you decide, know that this, he gestured between us, stays inside the lines you and Sarah draw. I'm not going to push. Relief and sadness tangled in my chest. Okay, I said hoarsely. Okay. That night, after Lily was in bed and the house was quiet except for the hum of the fridge, I sat across from Sarah at the kitchen table, my palms sweating. I need to tell you something, I said. She closed her laptop immediately, eyes sharpening. You're freaking me out, she said. What's wrong? Is Lily okay? She's fine, I said quickly. This is about me, I told her. Not every detail, Liam's hands, the way his t-shirt fit, but enough. The man crush that wasn't just a joke, the late-night Google spirals, the walk that morning, the possibility that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't as straight as I'd always assumed. Her face went through about 5 expressions in 30 seconds. Shock, confusion, hurt, something like fear, and finally a wary, aching kind of curiosity. Are you in love with him? She asked quietly. No, I said, and realized as I said it that it was truth. I'm attracted to him, and I care about him as a friend, but I'm in love with you. That hasn't changed. Tears pooled in her eyes. Why didn't you tell me sooner? She whispered. Because I was scared, I said. Scared you'd think I was trying to trade you in for a man. Scared you'd feel not enough. Scared I'd say it wrong and break everything. She wiped her cheeks with the heels of her hands. You kind of did break something, she said. But maybe it was already cracked. I've been gone so much, living at the office. I didn't notice you were lonely on a whole different axis. We sat there, the silence heavy, but not hostile. I'm not asking for an open marriage, I said. I'm not asking to do anything with this. I just needed you to know. Because it felt like lying, walking around with this huge thing in my head while you trusted me so completely. She exhaled, long and shaky. I appreciate that, she said, even if right now I kind of want to scream into a pillow. Aloud, I said, I'll even get you the pillow. A wet laugh escaped her. After a long, messy conversation, punctuated by tears on both sides, by her asking if this meant I was gay now, no, by me admitting I had no label yet, just a handful of feelings and a newfound respect for Kinsey scales, we came to something like a plan. We'd find a therapist, someone who understood sexuality and long-term partnerships. I'd keep being friends with Liam, but we'd set boundaries together. I'd be transparent about when we hung out. No secret coffee breaks. No more pretending nothing was happening. I can't promise I won't be weird about him for a while, she said, but I trust you. I'm choosing to trust you. Thank you, I said, the words barely containing what I felt. Later in bed, she looped her arm around my waist and rested her forehead between my shoulder blades. For what it's worth, she murmured into my back. I always kind of figured if either of us turned out to be bi, it would be me. I snorted, half crying, half laughing. Plot twist, I said. Yeah, she replied. Life's full of them. The next time I saw Liam at the playground, things were different, but not. We still traded coffee, still refereed sand disputes and compared notes on nap strikes. At one point, while the kids chased each other in circles, he bumped my shoulder with his. You okay? He asked. I told her, I said. His eyes widened. And? And we're talking, I said. She cried. I cried. No one threw anything. We're going to therapy. He let out a breath. I'm glad, he said quietly. I glanced at him, at the way the breeze ruffled his curls. Thank you, I said, for forcing my hand a little. He smiled, small and genuine. "Anytime," he said. "I'm good at chaos." I looked out at the playground. The kids, the moms, the world that had felt so small and suddenly felt a little bigger. I still didn't have all the answers. I didn't know exactly where I landed on the spectrum or what my life would look like 5 years from now. But I knew this. I loved my wife. I cared deeply about my friend. I was capable of attraction in more directions than I'd realized, and the only way through the mess was straight, pun unintended, through. Sometimes, in the late afternoons when the sun slants just right and the kids are briefly occupied, Liam and I sit on the bench, coffee cups between our hands, not talking, just existing, side by side. There's a quiet there that feels almost like relief. I used to think being the stay-at-home dad was the most complicated thing about me. Turns out I was just getting started.